Well, hello friends, it's Scott from Keto. If you're new to my channel, welcome. On my channel, you get to come along for the ride on my keto journey. For those of you who've been following along a little bit, you'll know that I've been on the low-carb cruise for the last week. Liz and I got home yesterday, and we had an absolutely fantastic time. So today, I want to talk to you a little bit about that, a little bit about the cruise itself, some things that I learned on the cruise, and then kind of what my plan is moving forward. Now, for those of you who are hoping for like a vlog of the whole cruise, I might try my hand at that with a little bit of help from my much better half, because she is honestly, the more tech savvy of the two of us. Maybe having some voiceover with some pictures. You can see most of those pictures and all of our adventures on my Facebook page. I actually shared those as we did them on the cruise. So if you're looking for like a blow-by-blow of what Liz and I did on the cruise, it's probably not going to be this video, but I might give it a shot. I don't know. I'm not making any guarantees. I might try that. For those of you who follow along on my channel, you know that is not really something that I do. It's not something I've ever really done, but we might give it a try. Actually, throw it in the comments if you're interested in something like that, if you're interested in like a vlog of the cruise. If enough of you are somewhat interested, maybe we'll give it a try. Otherwise, you might just get to see the plethora of photos that I have uploaded to Instagram and to Facebook. So if you follow me, Plot River Keto, on Instagram, you can see them there, or if you're friends with me on Facebook, you can see all the photos there. But suffice to say, it was a wonderful cruise. It was a great reset for me. I know that sounds really kind of counterintuitive, but I used the cruise as an opportunity to reset. I had mentioned to you guys in my really quick update right before we got on the cruise that I had had some struggles in the prior couple of weeks. The first thing, and I'll go ahead and share this with you, the first thing was I was really sick. It was right after Memorial Day, so the last week of May, I was really sick. I probably had that thing that a lot of us had back in 2020, if you know what I mean. But I was sick for like 8 days, and it was the fever, the chills, the body aches, and it just kept going and going. And this is what I experienced the first time that I experienced this particular illness, was that I thought I would get better. I would be getting better for a few hours, and then the body aches and the fever and the chills would come back. And so I just felt like garbage. And that really kind of derailed my progress in that. Obviously, I didn't do anything for 8 days, for the 8 days that I was sick. And then even for a few days afterwards, I was so run down from having been sick that I really didn't feel like doing anything. So the keto cruise, the low-carb cruise, was a great opportunity for me to reset. And I'll tell you why. I didn't have work or any other obligations getting in my way, so it was really easy to get up early in the morning, get my workouts in, and it was also really easy, and I know this kind of sounds counterintuitive also, but it was really easy to eat well on the cruise because I had tons of options. I didn't have to do any cooking at all. There were tons of options that would have been not so great for me, but it was really easy to get a hold of steak and chicken breast and just all kinds of different meat, bacon and eggs for breakfast, and so it was easy to be successful. It also could have been easy to be very unsuccessful, but for me it was easy to be successful, and I had a really great reset from both a nutrition perspective and a movement perspective on the cruise. I had some beautiful views for some workouts on the elliptical machine, beautiful views for lifting some weights. I got out on the deck and did a 5K. I think I did post a short video last week when I did that. I was quite proud of myself for getting that done. Hadn't done a 5K in a long time. I did walk it, but getting it done was an accomplishment, so I'm happy about that. If you guys are wondering why I'm looking down, I have lots of notes this time because I do want to talk about my thoughts about the low-carb cruise. Again, some things that I learned from the speakers at the low-carb cruise, and then my plan moving forward. So, thoughts on the cruise. I think the low-carb cruise is awesome, and the ladies that put it on, Debbie and Michelle, and I'm forgetting the third person, and I feel like an idiot, but there's a whole committee of them that put on the low-carb cruise, and they are amazing, amazing people. They are, not only do they do a great job actually at the cruise, but the whole thing leading up to the cruise, they are such a valuable resource. For those of you who haven't done tons of cruises, like my wife and I haven't, we cruised once for our first anniversary, and this is our second cruise, our first cruise in 20 years. Any questions about how to do things were answered, and it was just such a what's the word I'm looking for? It was so nice to not have to worry about any of the logistics of the cruise, because they were there for that. They answered all the questions, knew exactly what to do, getting on, where to go, what to do, how to successfully get off. Anyway, so wonderful. If you have the opportunity, you should totally go. It is a great chance to expand your in-person keto community. I know a lot of you have a lot more access to keto friends that live closer to you. We talked about this a few times on the cruise, but there's what we could call the small town tax. Liz and I live in a small town in western Nebraska in the middle of nowhere. And so we don't have as many opportunities to see friends from our keto community in person. And so the low carb cruise was a great opportunity for us to expand the number of wonderful friends that we have in this keto community. And I've come to become good friends with many of you through this medium, through the fact that I share videos with you, and I appreciate that very much. I want you guys to know that those of you who I've never met in person, but we've been able to communicate and build a friendship over the YouTube channel here. It's wonderful, and I would love to meet you guys someday. But it was also a great chance to meet some people who have followed along with me, and a lot of people who hadn't followed along with me, to meet them in person and to get to know them, and just to be able to sit at breakfast with them, or hang out in the afternoon up on the deck of the ship and just talk with them and get to know them. So that is one amazing thing about the cruise. You should totally go on a low carb cruise if you have the means to do so. And that's a huge caveat for me, because the next thing that I actually wrote down is don't feel guilted into going on a low carb cruise if you can't afford it. There's no reason to go into needless debt to go on a low carb cruise. It's amazing. Like I said, the ladies are wonderful that put it on. That whole committee is awesome. It's a great chance to get to know people in the keto community, in the low carb community. But don't go into debt for it. Don't feel pushed into it. It's not the only way to hang out with people, but it is a great way to get to hang out with amazing people from the community. And like I said, it is so well put together. The conferences are great, the speakers are awesome, but just the sense of community, the opportunity to get to hang out with not just the other cruisers, but the presenters, the keto celebrities, I'm going to call them, is great. It was great to get to hang out and get to know the two crazy ketos a little bit better, to get to know Rachel and Joe a little bit better. We sat next to Rachel at a show and got to learn a little bit more about her and Joe, and that's awesome. And we wouldn't have had a chance to do that if we hadn't been on the cruise. I got a chance to hang out with Dr. Brian Lenskis, and he was able to answer some of my keto questions that I had. And that's the one last thing I think that I put on here. It's a great opportunity to get a question answered. Because Dr. Lenskis and I were just hanging out at the party, and we were both just kind of sitting there on the stairwell, and I'm like, hey, this is a good opportunity to ask him a question. And he and I chatted for a few minutes. He was so nice, and the presenters are so nice and so giving of their time. They're on the cruise too, and they're having a great time, but they're willing to answer questions, and that part of it is just really awesome. So would totally recommend going on the cruise if you have the means to do it. Like I said, don't feel guilty if you don't. One of the things that they did talk about on the cruise is like how everybody's all excited and geared up for next year. And quite frankly, Mrs. Platte River Keto and Liz and I, do not have the means to go on the low carb cruise every year. So we will not be going on the low carb cruise in 2026. But we did have such a great time. We're going to save up and go on the low carb cruise maybe in 2027 or 2028. We don't know. If it does keep going, in fact, we would love to go again, but it's not something we can afford every year. So, but yeah, those are my thoughts on the cruise. Now, I wanted to share some of my thoughts from the speakers that were at the conference portion of the low carb cruise, which was on the sea days. We got to hear from several speakers, and they shared some really great information, and I want to share just a couple of thoughts with you guys. So first, Bronson and Nat, they shared their thoughts about kind of about mindset. The thing that I took away from this, one of the things they said is, I am the magic pill. You are the magic pill. There is no other magic pill. It's you. And I think that's interesting because I think a lot of us are often looking for what's the next thing that I can do? What's the next exercise program that's going to be great? What's the next new thing in keto? You guys all know we're hearing lots and lots about the sugar diet. No, Platte River Keto will not be trying the sugar diet. But we're all looking for the next thing, the next edge. And not that we shouldn't change things up sometimes, but at the end of the day, you are the magic pill. I am the magic pill. So that was great advice. They said, what is one thing that we can do to get out of our comfort zone? And I think that's great advice too. You know, that goes along with the James Clear, the Atomic Habits. You know, how do you be 1% better, so to speak, every day? What's one little thing that you can do? So that's kind of some food for thought. The last thing. I loved this quote. Does it matter if you get somewhere faster if you don't stay there? If I remember correctly, I think that was Natalie, and I think she was talking about, whether it be GLP-1s or some kind of pill or something that you could take to get to, let's say, your weight loss goals faster. But if you don't stay there, does it really matter? So if you get there faster and then end up not there, like you gain a whole bunch of, the fat back or whatever, does that really matter? So trying to find a way to get yourself lasting results. I love that. So I'm going to share that quote with you one time. Does it matter if you get somewhere faster if you don't stay there? That's good food for thought. So that was some of my thoughts from Bronson and Natalie. Next, Joe and Rachel. One thing I wrote down was, am I willing? That was something that Joe and Rachel posed to us. There are lots of things that I can do, but the question becomes, what is it that I'm willing to do? And I thought that was really good. Joe and Rachel also talked a whole lot about having a sustainable lifestyle, and they talked about some awesome things that they're doing on their farm. Basically being able to have access to like beef and eggs and chicken and that sort of thing. And the one thing that Liz and I kind of laughed about is, while we do have the small town tax for a lot of things, one of the great advantages of living where we do is that we have amazing access to world-class beef, chicken, eggs. There are people all around us here in our community who are willing at almost any time to get us half a beef or a whole beef. So we have easy access to that kind of stuff. And no, it's not free, but we have access to it, and it's really easy. We have a meat freezer, here, Liz and I do. I have access to lots of high quality meat when Brandon and I go hunting in the fall. But that was a good portion of what Rachel and Joe talked about. Next, Dr. Vega. Dr. Vega talked about visualizing. And one of the things that he did that I'm going to just give you guys a little preview. This is going to be a long video, I'm sorry. But a little preview, one of the things that I'm going to do, which is I'm planning on visualizing every day. Because he had us visualize ourselves where we want to be. So again, don't think weight is so important, but like what you're going to look like when you reach your goals. And so he had us visualize that. Basically, close your eyes and see yourself as you want to be. And then after you've got that visualization, if you're looking across at your future self, so to speak, in your mind, bring those two together, which allows your subconscious to see yourself as that person that you want to be. He talked about how important that subconscious is in having us have true and lasting success, that if we try to change our actions, but our subconscious is still thinking something different, like thinking that we're still always going to be that big, overweight person, that our actions might work for a little while, but our subconscious is going to get in the way and kind of push us back toward how we truly see ourselves. The one thing he said is the world is how we see the world. And so it's really important, that mindset, and telling ourselves that we are that person that we're going to be. That you and I are going to be healthy, active people. And I know I'm on that road. I'm hoping that you guys are on that road. But so that was what he shared, and that was pretty great. Next we had Dr. Tro. He talked about when we are stressed, we can eat as if we are hungry even though we aren't. I think you guys might have experienced that once or twice in your lives. I know I've experienced that a lot in my life. You talk about this last tax season, guys, and all the struggles that I had. I can definitely relate those struggles back to being stressed. and eating as if I was hungry when I definitely was not hungry. So really enjoyed that. One thing that Michelle Hall said, we got to go to a group panel with her, talked about GLP-1s, and she mentioned try those after you tried everything else. And tried everything else and given it a good hard try for like a year. Not saying that those things are bad. She actually works with people who are working on those, but it's not the first thing to try. And it's not the next magic pill, if we go back to what Bronson and Natalie said. So I just thought that was interesting. I had questions myself about GLP-1s, but I need to give keto and being consistent with keto a try for a year or 2 years. And I know that I haven't done that, especially not in the last year or so. So those are some things that I enjoyed and learned from some of the speakers. They were great. So the question now becomes, if you're still on here on this marathon of a video that we have today, what's my plan? So my plan is to keep up the momentum, the literal movement that we had on the cruise. Liz and I got like 20,000 steps a day in, and so my plan is to keep that movement going. My legs are a little bit used to that, at least after doing it for a week. So my plan from a movement perspective is to continue to lift weights, continue to do my DDPY, and get back to doing my rucking. I have the rucking backpack here. The dogs are going to be excited to go for rucks with me. We're going to have to do that early in the morning, as summer is definitely here in Nebraska. From a nutrition perspective, my goal is to basically stick to the basics. Obviously, meat and low-carb veggies, and to stay away from the keto treats. And, I didn't hardly do any keto treats at all. I had access to lots and lots of healthy food this week. So my plan is just to continue to do that, and had a great reset from that perspective. So we're going to continue to focus on that. And finally, visualize myself as the person that I'm going to be, and have that, close my eyes and have that visualization every day, and seeing that person of who I know I'm actually going to be. I want to thank you guys, as always, for being a part of my channel, for being a part of my journey. I appreciate you all so much. Day by day, keep calm and keto on, my friends, and we'll check in with you again next week.